Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now. It's a weekly forecast program with astrology and a guided meditation activation to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and Susie Mazzoli, Master Healer. We invite you to find out more about our individual work, Susie Mazzoli, susiemazzoli.com, or insightoasis.com for astrology. We look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends. Here we go.
Welcome to week 20 of 2024. I'm Susie Mazzoli. I'll be back at the end with a meditation and a little contemplation. And Pamela Cuccinell, our wonderful astrologer, is going to let us know what's in store for us this week, starting with Monday, May the 13th. We are Astrology Insight Now, and we are so happy to provide every week for you a forecast and meditation, helping us to align and to take guidance from the celestial bodies. And of course, if you have any interest to work with us privately for your health concerns, for your astrological concerns, please reach us through our website. Thanks so much. And Pam, what's in store for us this week?
Okay. Those of you who listened to last week know that I gave a very upbeat forecast for last week, which opened with the Taurus new moon. And so we're still in that waxing moon cycle. The difference between last week and this week is that as the moon travels through the sky, it's not necessarily making such harmonious connections with planets, but we have windows. So I'm going to give you the information that's pertinent for that on both ends. And we'll start with the moon in Cancer, which opens on Monday the 13th. Now, the times I give are Eastern time, so it'll depend where you live on the world to determine how this tracks with the times that I give. But with the moon in the sign of Cancer, we have lovely energy through 5:13 a.m., basically. And that's pretty early for Eastern time zone people, depending on their occupation and when they rise. But if you are out moving about or you are in a different time zone, this can be a period of very nice productivity, especially creative, nurturing, self sustaining, and spreading the love activity. Once that moon goes void, of course, it's one of the interesting things that happens is that a minute afterwards, the sun and Uranus are in alignment. So you wouldn't be able to see Uranus, of course, because where it would be traveling would be it would be basically behind the sun, and it's never a good idea to stare at the sun anyway. So the thing to keep in mind is when that movement occurs, some of us may be lit with very high revelatory energy, inspiration, an epiphany, even this sense of wow. And so it might be something you want to jot down, pay attention to, or it may be something that is just kind of a freaky idea that comes in your mind, makes you laugh, and then that's it. That's the thing about Uranus. It is, by its nature, unpredictable. So it's going to look a little different depending on your personal horoscope and where it's traveling. The moon will enter the sign of Leo at 6:36 a.m. And once that happens, in general, moon in Leo, it's a time when people feel very much they want to kind of stay with whatever they're doing. Very fiery people may be quite charismatic, dynamic, spontaneous when Moon is traveling through a fire sign, but Leo is definitely part of that. It tends to also be a time when we might want to party or glam up or act out, either in a way that's very passionate or act out in a disruptive way. And that'll just be different for each of us depending on where the sign of Leo falls in the horoscope and the other things that are going on in the sky at this point in time, but also as that moon is connecting with planets in your personal horoscope. But one of the things that's quite obvious is that there is a configuration with the planet Pluto that happens mid morning that can show some kind of power struggle, people digging their heels in, a sense of feeling like someone's trying to control you or you're trying to control a certain situation. It's always best to observe these things when they occur and make as rational decisions, objective decisions as possible when this is happening. It's a transit, it passes. Those of us who have natal configurations of Moon Pluto in our personal horoscopes may feel this more acutely than the rest of us. Then there's a nice picture in the sky between Venus and Saturn in mid afternoon, which can show good time to negotiate, think about self value, really working on things that you feel a sense of worth about. And overall, this can be a very productive day, as can the 14th of May. Now, the most important thing about these days is that they work better when we kind of winnow down what we're aiming to do. Because on the 14th and then into the 15th, uh, especially morning of the 15th, some of us may have a lot of options on the table. And so there can be this sense of, what do I do now? Wow, that came up. How do I make that happen? And we can very much feel overwhelmed. So, what is important to realize on these days is the ideal is to stay with the most important tasks, goals, desired outcomes. It also, because the moon is in the sign of Leo, it's a movement towards when we kind of reevaluate things that we may have begun at the beginning of this lunar cycle. It might be, oh, I've gotten as far as I want to go with this particular project. It can be, wow, I thought I was going to get that done this month or over the next few weeks, but I really don't have time. It can be, wow, look at how far I've come with this, and now I want to tweak it and make it go in that direction. So there's this quality of reevaluating, but the most important part is when there's a lot of options, opportunities, or things that are in front of us, we are far more productive when we settle down and select and prioritize. So there's no shame or anything wrong in sitting down and doing lists of pro and cons or a sense of, okay, these are the most important things I want to tackle over these days. Because, as I said, productivity can be high, but not if we let ourselves be derailed by, oh, you could do it this way, or how about that, or look, this just came in. So that's just good to keep in mind. The moon goes void, of course, at 12:41 p.m. on the 15th, and then it enters Virgo at 5:33 p.m. So we're looking at, again, in the Eastern time zone, we're looking at pretty much an afternoon with a void of course moon in the sign of Leo. Now, this can be a lovely time to hang out, go to a museum, go to see a show. If you're working and you have meetings back to back, just know that there can be a lot of bluster and noise, and people are saying they're going to get this done or follow through with that, or let's take it to the next level. But you're going to want to revisit whatever has been said during this period of time, because with a void of course moon, people don't necessarily stick with what they say they're going to do, or end up calling or following through or acting on anything that was proposed. Not necessarily because it wasn't a good idea, but because what's happening energetically is nothing is causing a connection that gives them a sense of immediacy or reason why they're going to cement that or make it happen. One of the stories I love to tell, especially seems pertinent with this void, of course, moon in Leo, is there was a friend who was putting together a proposal for a reality TV something or other, and she invited a bunch of women to lunch. And she had a producer who was interested. There was a film crew. It was in a nice restaurant. And I was thinking, I don't think this is going to go anywhere because the void of course moon, which I told her, but that was when the film crew was in town, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I had a lovely time. The women were delightful. We all switched cards. We were going to see one another, and the videographer said everything looks great, and nothing ever came of it. I never saw any of them again, except the woman who initially put it together. So it was a nice diverting afternoon, but that is a classic void of course moon with the sign in Leo. So the moon enters Virgo at 5:33 p.m. and it moves along. It's in that through Saturday, very early morning. So what happens over this course of time? Well, the early evening, looks like it can be a very productive evening. And this certainly holds true for the 16th as well into the 17th. Here's the pluses, or here's the things to be aware of. With the moon in the sign of Virgo, and we're in that waxy moon cycle, this is a terrific time to be focused on, okay, this needs to be done. Let me cross this off the list. That's happening. If you've got any maintenance things that need to be done or looked at, very good for that. Anything with the body, very good for that. The thing that you want to keep in mind, and when I say anything for the body, I don't know if exactly I would do tests unless I had to. And the reason I say that is because things can be found or looked at that somebody might say, huh, what's that? And then the process will continue, more tests or more conversations or whatever. And in the end, they don't find anything. But if you're told you need to have a test, then definitely that's something you want to do. What also could happen is, okay, I'm told I have a test for this. And yes, they didn't find anything related to what they thought they were looking for, but they found something else that's worth exploring. So I'm not saying we all have to run out and get medical exams at all or certain kind of tests, But what I am seeing is that there's this moon in Virgo is very good at scrutinizing something, digging into it, doing work that is healing, that is able to unearth or explore, basically move the soil around. And when we get too kind of stuck or comfortable, we're not necessarily in a place where growth is allowed or expansion is allowed. And once we start to move that around, what can happen is that other things come in that really requires some thought or exploration or meditation to understand better or more dimensionally. And I think that these are really good days to kind of move that soil around, see what's there. So if you have started a new project with that new moon, if you are doing something that's launching or beginning to launch, these are good days to just kind of, what do you call it, market test or see what people's impressions are, to get ideas of how that looks, to kind of dig around a little, because it can help you get more of a sense of where it might go or how it might work. The moon goes void, of course, at 5:09 a.m. on Saturday the 18th, and it enters Libra shortly after at 6:23 a.m. Now, it's kind of interesting when the moon is in Libra right now because it's not going to stay in the sign for a long time before it goes void, of course. But one of the things that happens on this day is that the sun is in alignment with Jupiter. It's exact, and that occurs at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And many astrologers will say this is the luckiest day of the year. Well, it can be, and there's no question of that. But remember, wherever Jupiter is, it magnifies it, it makes it bigger. So the reason that is said is because the sun is, yes, it's about self expression, it's also about a lot of light around whatever the topic or area of life is. So you want to look at where Taurus is in your horoscope. What's all lit up on that particular day? And yeah, it might be a very lucky day, but for some of us, it might also bring up other things that are highlighted or lit up that are like, whoa, okay, guess I have to deal with that. So that's why it's useful to know your own personal horoscope when this phenomenon occurs, because it's going to light up an area of life that is specific to wherever Taurus is landing in your horoscopes. Let's say, for example, it's in the house of partnership. So, yeah, that could mean that you meet somebody or there's this disclosure or really strong connection that occurs with your partner, either romantic partner or a business partner, person who's integral in your life in some way. And so that can really charge out, like be something that is a real wow, a real moment of that is memorable. And this occurs around 28 degrees of the sign of Taurus. Now, for some people, it might bring up or bring to a head something that is, wow, this is a life thing I deal with. Maybe you have Saturn in Taurus, which Saturn, of course, when Jupiter expands that, whatever responsibility, limitation, fear, discipline, that might get bigger. You could also see ways to work it differently with the knowledge and wisdom that Jupiter could bring in. So we want to know our personal horoscope, if possible, when you just see something on the internet that says the luckiest day of the year. Okay, so, but overall, once again, what I always say is bring in a sense of benefit, amplification of good things for all creatures on the earth. That is a good way to think about this energy, regardless of where it might be falling in your personal horoscope. Sunday the 19th, the moon goes void of course at 11:48 a.m. And then it's void of course for the rest of the day in the sign of Libra. So the two things. So that morning, again, tempers may be short. It is a time when you want to move energetically in positive ways, that sense of, oh, I need to take action, something has to be done. Anger is motivating me or showing me a grievance. How do I express it in the best possible way? And then when the moon is void of course in the sign of Libra, perfect day just to enjoy something cultural, be with people, stimulating conversations, and keep in mind none of the conversations or a sense of, hey, let's do this may go anywhere, but that doesn't mean you can't have a good time. And now I turn it over to Susie.
So let's always have a good time.
Always.
Always. Okay. So let's jump into our meditation. And as always, it's best to be sitting up and have a nice straight back, dropping your shoulders so that they're not kissing your ears. And if we can, to sit symmetrically. So meditation is really also all about brain and brain chemistry, which affects, of course, our whole body. And there is a very strong physical component to meditation, so that when we sit and we take the right posture, it can really improve our meditation. And it can really bring us physical benefits, talking about health. Because when the mind is quieted, when the mind is more still, then our brain is in a different state and we create different chemicals that go coursing through our veins. So the difference between being stressed out and being calm and peaceful. And when we are calm and peaceful, as many of us know, then we handle situations better. We handle stress better. We handle our emotions better. We're able to be more rational, more loving, more calm. So generally, it's just a really great practice. And whether we can sit for 2 minutes or 20 minutes, just try to every day put in a little bit of that conscientious effort to create space for meditation. And when we're doing our meditations, as we do every week after Pam's astrology forecast, we're also doing contemplations on thoughts, on guidance that comes up from the forecast, from what's going on around us, so that each week we're contemplating. Meditation is also can be also contemplation, not just sitting in total silence. So as we're sitting, as we're meditating, we are allowing ourselves to come into a place of awareness so that we're not locked up and obsessed with our own thoughts and our own lists and our own trajectory, or caught up in our own thoughts about the past, but we're allowing ourselves to sit. And we can think about it like we're taking off the lid. We're popping off our lid. Imagine like the crown chakra, the lid is coming off, and we're allowing ourselves to experience being in a place of stillness, but in a place of complete awareness, where we are allowing for this integration, this opening to all that is. So there is almost like we disassemble the fences, the boundaries, the all of the structures that we have put in place to be me, to be mine, to be I. We allow all of those structures that are our concepts, our thoughts, our decisions, all the things that you think make you up, apart from your body, the way you look, but all the things that you say, this is who I am and this what makes me different to you, or to you and you and you. We allow all of that just to disassemble, just for a few moments, in meditation, allowing the ego, allowing the sense of self, all of our convictions, all of our concepts and ideas, even our morals, allowing just everything just for a few moments to disintegrate, so that there really is no more you. There is no more me sitting here. I'm not my arms, I'm not my legs, I'm not my belly, I'm not my experiences, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my history, I'm not my future. Just me. And then dissolved. So that all that is left now in meditation is the pure essence of your mind stream. It's not grasping and holding on to anything. It is nothing but simply the mind stream, the consciousness. We could also say or use the word awareness. So all that is present now is your awareness. Awareness that is hearing these words and doing nothing with them, just being present. This very simple state now of present awareness. And this state of present awareness is unbounded. There are no restrictions. your mind stream experiences complete liberation. There is no time, no space, no beings, no world, no concepts. Total freedom. And with this comes boundless joy. Boundless wisdom. And we allow this boundless, joyful, wisdom, liberated state to be deeply imprinted in the mind stream. We know this, we experience this, we feel it. It is our home base. And from this place of boundless freedom, we slowly become aware of our physical body, gently opening our eyes, moving our fingers, our toes, but coming only from this state of boundless mind stream that is now using this vehicle of our human body and our human experience. Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, Pam, for our forecast. Lots of good happiness all week long for everybody, and love now.
You have been listening to Susie Mazzoli and Pamela Cuccinell of Insight Now. If you've enjoyed this program, consider a donation. A link for that at astrologyinsightnow.com. We invite you to join us again for next week's podcast. Please share with others who can benefit from insight, and have a stellar week.